Hi everybody, what's going on? KSA Kris here, the Real Estate Blitz, and today we're going to talk about abusive clients. I think I've only done one other video on this, but it's important because I think abusive people or abusive clients in general, they really are a drain, and unfortunately, from what I've seen, a lot of agents will just ride that transaction and take the abuse, and it's awful. I have one right now, and it's one of those things where how do you deal with an abusive client? So I'm going to go back from the beginning. When I sit down to do a listing appointment, I'm very, very bold and very blunt, and I tell them, yes, we're here to interview for the job to sell your house. However, I need you to understand that we're interviewing you too. We're extremely busy because we're really, really good at what we do, and we don't take on everybody. So as we're interviewing for the job, we want you to go ahead and see if we're going to be the right fit for you, because we might not be, and that's okay. But we're also looking to see if you're going to be the right fit for us, because if we're unable to communicate and work together effectively throughout this transaction to get your house sold, you're going to get less money, and it's probably not going to sell as fast as you would like it to. And in the process, we're really going to walk away not liking each other. So that's I do that right away at the listing appointment. I mention it at every listing appointment, even if it's somebody that I know and they're a good friend. Friends are sometimes the hardest to work with. But it's a mix of, first off, make sure that you're doing your job effectively. You got to think, why do clients get pissed? Why do they start being crappy? A majority of the time, it's because the agent isn't doing their job. They're not communicating. That's the one that I hear over and over and over. The agent's not communicating. You should be beating them with communication. It doesn't mean that you have to physically call them all the time. A lot of what I do, I have a mix of, I use Google Share, and so I create a plan of action milestones where they can actually go through there and they can see what's being done, when was it done, who did it, what are the notes that are associated to it. I put a lot of those docs in Google Share along with their photos, along with their videos, along with marketing, whatever digital marketing we're doing. Any type of flyers, anything like that. I'm putting it in there. I tie that to Trello. Some people are savvy when it comes to technology, so that way they can jump right in their phone. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but yeah, there we go. So I'll pop it right in here, and they'll have their own little updates, and they can sit there and look at the updates, and then Trello will actually tie to my Google Share so they can see all the photos and everything else, anything that they might want to see that's marketing based for their home. So that's the first one. I try to spend a little bit of time on that every day. So I go through, I update, each property that I'm working on. Of course, I got boards everywhere, so that helps me stay a little bit organized. And considering that it's January, and I'm on this mission to make a point. Now, normally, I before January, and I did a challenge for the Real Estate Blitz, starting over as a brand new agent with only $500, which I still have $50 left over, and the month's almost over. I have $50 left over, and I have seven listings. I think I have close to $4 million worth of inventory listed right now. In January, I spent $450 so far. But anyways, outside of that, I have it tied together in Trello so they can see all that information, they can touch it. Of course, I'm going to give them phone calls, but I make it very well known in the listing appointment. At a minimum, I'm going to call at least once a week so we can talk about whether we're going to need any adjustments or just to touch base and say hi. I send them text messages as well to let them know, hey, this is going on, that's going on. They're going to get updates on the open house every week, but once I get the assistant, which I used to have before I started this challenge, my assistant does a majority of that work for me. So I really don't have to do it, and they're being communicated with, and they're being touched, and they're being contacted. The biggest complaint, the biggest reason why people really go sour is because agents are not communicating with them. And I think the reason why agents, we forget sometimes that the people that we're helping, the people that we're selling the homes for, the people that we're helping buy a home, they aren't in real estate every day. They don't do this for a living. So they don't understand what should or should not be happening. They're completely in the dark, and there's a certain amount of stress. Even on the smoothest of transactions, there's stress that's taking place with our clients. to disrespect them, and that's really what I think it is. When you don't communicate with them, you're disrespecting them. When you take for granted that you think, well, they should just know what I do for a living. That's why they pay us so well. People pay us good money because they don't know, and they don't want to try to figure it out. It's no different than, look, I'm not a plumber, okay? I'm not a plumber. I don't fix pipes. Could I figure it out? Sure I could. There's YouTube channels, there's this and that and the other, but the reality is I don't want to. I'm not a plumber. Now, there's a lot of people that'll figure it out. They'll walk down to Home Depot or drive or whatever they're going to do, and they'll pick up the plumbing stuff, and they'll get under there, and they'll be a plumber. They'll probably mess it up, or maybe they won't, and maybe over time they'll become a really good plumber. But I would rather be spending time with my family. I would rather be working with my profession and making a living and hire a plumber. I want to hire a plumber. Now, when you have a plumber come to your house and they're doing what they're doing, they don't sit there and go, yep, it's just messed up. No, they inform you. Turns out, see this giant hairball? It went down into the sink. There's a little elbow down at the bottom and it got caught. I just went through, I snaked it out real quick, pulled out all the hair, and it works fine now. In the future, this is what I would recommend in order to not have this get clogged again. And then I won't have to come out and charge you $150 to basically pull a bunch of hair out of your sink, right? So they fill you in on what's going on. So if that's an expectation from a plumber and you know you have it whenever that happens, if somebody comes over to you and they don't tell you, they just say, all right, I fixed your plumbing. It's $300. $300? Holy crap! What'd you do? Well, I did stuff. Where's my $300? Like, of course, you'd be pissed off too. So respect the client first if you want to deal with abusive clients. Now, if you're communicating, you're going out of your way to really work with that person, but they're still abusive, which is one that I'm sort of dealing with right now. They should have been weeded out. Like this one, the only reason I didn't weed this person out is because they came in from a referral from one of our clients that buys and sells at least 2 homes a year with us. So we took, and it's a family member, and we took them on. But the reason why I don't like working with crappy people if I meet them right away in the listing appointment is because no matter how good you do, they're going to think you suck. No matter how good you do, they're going to think they could have done it better. No matter how good you do, they're going to leave you bad reviews, and they're going to basically attack you online. So I just avoid them. I don't want to deal with awful people. However, if they went through the process and they became crappy, the first thing I'm going to do is try to communicate with them and say, hey, what's going on? Hopefully from the what's going on question, you can sort it out. But if you can't and they're just being crappy and abusive, then you need to reestablish the relationship. And I'm very adamant about this. And say, look, I need you to understand. And I actually had to have a conversation with a previous client that says, look, first off, I am a human being. I'm a grown adult just like you. And I am not going to be talked to that way. Now, if you want to communicate, I'm here to do a job and do a service for you. If you feel like I'm not doing something right, I would absolutely love to talk about that, so either I can adjust or we can go a different direction together. Maybe this just doesn't work out. However, I'm not going to be talked to this way. Understood? Yeah. Like I just don't deal with it. And I'm going to tell them, I'm not going to allow you. I think where agents go wrong is that they're chasing the money, and while they're chasing the money, they lose sight that you don't have to be treated like crap. You don't have to be talked to anyway because, well, you know, it's just part of it. It's not part of it. Being treated like crap is not okay. Just writing it out because you're trying to get a paycheck is probably even worse, because you're empowering them to continue with their bad habits of treating you like crap, and it usually always escalates. It always escalates. And like I said, at the end of it, they're not going to like you anyways. No matter how good of a job you did, they're going to say you were the worst agent that ever walked the earth. So I reestablished a relationship right away, try to fix it, and basically say, even if we can't fix it, you're not going to talk to me this way or treat me this way. If you do, then we're going to have to go a different direction. And I've walked away. I've sent cancellation paperwork, and I says, I wish you the best, but we just can't work together. I wish you the best of luck. And, is it walking away from money? It sure is. But I just don't want to take on that in my life. There's too many other people out there that really love and respect what we do. There's people out there that love and respect what you do. Those are the people you want to work with, not abusive people. That's just my opinion. Anyway, so how do you deal with them? A, try to weed them out right away in the listing appointment. B, ensure that you're communicating with them. You should be over-communicating with them, in my opinion. C, reestablish a relationship. Let them know exactly what you will and won't accept, because the majority of the time the reason why people get abused is because they never tell people where they stand on what they will or won't accept and how they will or won't be treated. And after that, you know, if you still choose to work with them because they're a crappy person, well, then that's up to you. But after that, if you've already tried all three of those things, I kick them. I just let them go. I wish them the best of luck and let some other agent deal with their abuse. That's all I got today. Appreciate you. KSA Kris, Real Estate Blitz. Do me a favor, like, share, comment. Go check out the YouTube channel and subscribe if you haven't. If you're seeing this on Facebook, if you're on YouTube and you haven't seen my Facebook channel, go check that out, KSA Kris, or you can type in the Real Estate Blitz. Leave me some comments. I love the comments. I love getting them. I'm going to be trying to get back on and pick up the couple of days that I missed because we didn't have internet, just from changing offices. And got a lot of really cool stuff that's coming up this year. It's only January, February. I'm going to be mixing it up, so I'm pretty excited about that. And if I can help in any way, just let me know. This is so cool. You can see the painting guys behind me. They're back there painting the building. All right, that's all I got. I'll talk to you all later.